Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah, motherfucker. Shut up, I'm talking.
Shut up, I'm talking.
So, before we were friends, you moved to Los Angeles. How old were you when you moved to Los Angeles?
I was 20.
Wow. You can remember back that far?
Well, it's kind of a guess, but yeah. It was 1987.
Struggling on the math of 20.
88.
What year were you born?
That one? No.
68?
No, it was 88. It was 88.
You had 20 years to your year of birth.
I know. I'm telling you.
It's goddamn difficult.
When I did it. God.
Jesus Christ. 1988. I hadn't even graduated high school yet. I'm so much younger than you. But anyway. So you're 20 years old. So you moved to Los Angeles, 1988.
I went to the promised land. I sold everything I had and just moved there. I didn't know anybody, never been there, just left.
Now, what was your purpose in going?
To go, be a rock star, living the life.
Had you been in a band?
Yeah, I had been in bands.
All right, what were the bands? I mean, did you play or did you play out, or was it mostly like, somebody's basement or what?
Before or after I went there?
Before. Like house parties or something?
Yeah, nothing big.
So you're thinking, I've done house parties, now I'm ready for the big time.
That's exactly.
All right, so you moved to Los Angeles. How did you get there? You flew or you drive, bus?
I flew. This is before the internet.
Sure.
And I went and got a LA phone book around Hollywood and then started calling places to rent an apartment.
Was that once you got to Los Angeles or before?
No, this is before because I didn't want to show up there without somewhere to go.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Sensible planning.
Exactly. I'm not a lunatic. So I found this place. It was right around the corner from the Chinese Theater, right off on North Sycamore.
Mann's?
Yeah, Mann's Chinese Theater. There's only one. Come on. Man. Okay. No, the other one.
Woman's?
Derail my whole thing.
All right.
So anyway.
All right.
You're that kid that we get riding along on a bicycle and you just jab a stick to the spokes and just to watch him flip.
Funny every time.
Yeah. So I found this place. It actually used to be a hotel, but they converted it into apartments. So I had lived in, basically it was like a hotel room, but it was
a hovel.
Yeah, it was a one bedroom and it was $700 a month.
High class lean-to. So you find this place before you leave. You fly. So did you have that moment where at some point you get off a bus and you see the Welcome to the Jungle shit?
No, the Welcome to the Jungle thing, that's a real thing. But when you're getting off the highway down to go into town, there's like a big long turn.
Uh-huh.
And on that, it's a curved wall. And it does say, Welcome to the Jungle on there. So, yeah, when I was on the blue van coming from the airport to the apartment building, you drove right past it. And I was like, I'm finally here. I've made it. There I am.
Okay, so you're in the big city from your humble beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your apartments. So how long were you in Los Angeles altogether?
It was a couple of years. Seems
right.
like an entire lifetime, but yeah.
So you crashed and burned fast. Okay, so
thank you.
You're in Los Angeles.
That is the kind of support I was looking for.
You're in Los Angeles. You're in a hovel.
I feel so much better with that kind of compassion and understanding. Thank you.
And accuracy.
And accuracy. There you go. You know what? You need a rim shot. That's what you need.
All right. So you're in Los Angeles. You're living the dream. What did you do to make a living?
Well, the first job I got, I was working at the Chinese Theater.
Mann's?
Yes, the other one.
All right. And so what did you do there?
I worked in the gift shop out front.
Selling tchotchkes?
Yeah, and I had to learn Japanese.
Why?
The sayings. Because they were all, at that time, it was all Japanese tourists.
Konnichiwa.
Yeah, konnichiwa, domo arigato, There was a point where I could count to 100 in Japanese and like give them change, all while speaking Japanese, and they were all fascinated by that.
Did you do the dirty knees, look at these? Did you do that for the tourists as well?
No, because that's offensive, and I'm not doing.
I was just curious.
I was an ambassador to America because they were.
So this was way back in the time when everybody thought that Japan was going to own the United States.
Yeah, these dumbasses would come in there, buy $600 worth of Marilyn Monroe keychains, and they would literally pull out wads of American cash and just hand it to you like you're supposed to know what, like because they didn't understand what you're supposed to do with it. Because at the time, I remember the yen was something crazy. Like for every yen equaled like 6 or 7 American dollars.
All right.
So these people were rolling in cash the second they showed up.
So they didn't know what the exchange rate was.
No, they were getting all kinds of money, and they were just handing it to you. I just think you should not be walking around like that because somebody's going to jack you.
So how many of them did you rob forcibly?
None.
All right.
Okay.
Wanted to make sure.
Not that kind of show.
Okay, so you're at the Chinese theater.
That's a different kind of show.
How long did you work there?
I worked there for a while.
Did you put that on your resume?
Yeah. And well, what happened is I was going to go home for Christmas, and I didn't even want to go. My mother was like forcing me to, we haven't seen you. You have to come home for Christmas. And I told my boss that at the time. Some woman who literally did nothing unless her psychic told her it was okay. She said no because I hadn't earned enough vacation. I was like, I don't need to earn a vacation. I'm going home. So, of course, then I lost my job. And I wish I hadn't because that was an easy gig. So you're skipping over so many wonderful memories of watching somebody get murdered.
What am I skipping over?
I don't know.
All right. So did these murders take place while you were working at Mann's Chinese Theater?
No, they did not. I hadn't been in Hollywood 2 weeks. I had literally been there maybe 6 or 7 days. It was the night of the lunar eclipse.
She named the night. Uh-huh.
And because I'm a rube and I just got to Hollywood, I didn't know that you couldn't see the sky.
From the smog? And the light pollution.
And the pollution and all that other crap, right?
All right.
I'm in the back parking lot behind the Hollywood Wax Museum, okay? There is a little alley there that goes down to the street. And I'm walking out there, looking at the sky, gawking at the sky on one side, trying to see the moon. And I look over, and across the alley, sitting on that little L fence, were these two guys that were about my age, I think, sitting there talking, smoking a cigarette. So I walked over there, and I said, "Hey, man, have you seen the moon?" And of course, they looked at me like I was on something. And I said, "No, today's the lunar eclipse. I wanted to see the moon." They're like, "No, man." They were laughing at me. I'm a tourist. I'm walking around. I don't, there's no sky. You can't see anything. And in the peripheral vision, I see this van driving up the street in my direction. So I said, well, let me get across the street because I'm going to go over here and look around this corner. So I crossed the alleyway where the van came up, and I hear this pop, 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 like loud firecrackers. And I turn around, and the van is screeching off in one direction, and then there was a guy on a motorcycle screeching off in the other direction, right? And those two guys were lying flat on their back on the ground. And I was like, holy mackerel. And you go over there because you don't know what you're looking at or what's happening. And one kid is clutching his gut, and he's kind of moaning real bad, and he's kind of like rolling back and forth. The other one is laying flat on his back. His arms are like spread out, and he's not moving. And I swear to you, his face was gone. He had his whole face blown off.
That'll really crush your smile.
Yeah. So people are screaming, and somebody said the cops are coming, And then you see these two cops walking up the hill from the Hollywood Boulevard. They're walking like they're going on a Sunday walk. They're drinking coffee. They're making small talk with each other like, hey, what are you going to do this weekend? That kind of shit. They have no care whatsoever about what's going on. The cops come up and they start going, hey, everybody back up, back up. The one that had his face gone, that was clearly dead, he kicked him in the leg and said, this one's gone. And then they kicked the other one that was moaning, and they said, listen to me, stick your finger in the hole. They never bent down. They never did anything. They literally just said, stick your finger in the hole. Somebody's coming to help you.
Did they specify which hole?
Well, no, that was guessing the bullet hole.
He put his thumb right up his ass.
He looks at me and he goes, hey, dumbass, get up, get back. And I'm like, why? And he goes, you're standing in the blood. There was so much blood it had pooled out to the point I was standing in it where I was looking at him. I must have been in some kind of weird shock because I've never seen anybody get murdered before. It was so bizarre. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm standing there. I'm not going to get out of here.
Did you go, well, golly?
Yeah, that's what I felt like doing. I felt like Gomer Pyle. So anyway, a couple of days later, I was calling my mom just to, say hello, that kind of thing. And I went, hey, by the way, guess what happened to me? She did not take it well.
I wonder why.
Yeah, she really flipped out. Oh my God, you're gonna get killed. I said, man, if I, and I did just talking because it was such a weird experience. I said, if I hadn't crossed the street when I did, they would have shot me. And then I hear this. I thought, well, you don't have to worry about it.
Don't worry, man.
That's life, baby.
It's life in the fast lane.
Yeah.
You should see my hovel.
There is no sense of law and order there once the sun goes down. Or at least it wasn't back then. The LA cops were like stormtroopers. They didn't play around. They were not particularly friendly, and they did not mess around. I was standing on the street corner trying to wait to cross the street. I don't know where I was going, but there was a cop standing on the corner, and he looked at me and he goes, where are you from? Because nobody in Hollywood is from Hollywood.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah. So he goes, where are you from? I said, I'm from D.C. And he goes, oh, okay. You don't get in trouble, do you? And I'm like, what? No, I don't get in trouble. And he goes, that's good. A guy your size, I would just shoot you first and then find out what you were doing. Just being very casual about it. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good to know.
That's an excellent warning.
I will keep that in mind the next time I rob a bank.
That was somebody looking out for you, really. Gave you great advice.
He did. He was doing me a favor because they didn't hesitate back then.
All right, so that was very early in your time there in Los Angeles. But you were there for a couple years.
Yes.
I believe you had a job at a bookstore.
I did. I worked at the B. Dalton Books.
All right.
Yeah, B. Dalton Books. I worked there on Hollywood Boulevard.
So what was your job there?
Cashier, clerk, or whatever you want to call it.
So you weren't like moseying about offering up suggestions. You were strictly at the cash register. Barely literate.
Whatever it is I was supposed to be doing, I guarantee you I wasn't doing it.
You were concentrating on counting to 100 in Japanese.
No, that was after the Chinese theater, so I had already forgotten that part.
Couldn't be bothered with...
no, of course not.
With reminiscing with your literacy. So did you have any special customers there?
The manager that worked there had the policy that as long as they weren't causing trouble, she would let the bums hang out in the store.
What could go wrong?
Well, most of the time there wasn't. But there was this one homeless guy. He must have been easily 7 feet tall if he had the wild hair and the wild beard, they like unkempt and all that kind of crap. He was super tall. I mean, he was like pencil thin. So being that tall, walking around, he would like move his arms weird, look like a spider, right? Uh-huh. And he used to come in and go straight to the Bible section, grab a Bible, hold it upside down, and go, blah, 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 and start screaming real loud like he was reading this thing upside down.
Was he speaking in tongues?
Yeah, just screaming, gibberish.
Yeah, sure.
What he was trying to do, he was scaring the tourists.
Andy Kaufman.
Well, anyway, because it would scare the tourists, the woman that ran the place, she came to me and she says, look, when this guy comes back in, you have to throw him out.
Yeah, not her, you.
Yeah, me. And I'm like, why me? Well, you're the biggest one in here. He's not going to do anything to you. So he comes in and he starts going blah, 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 at the Bibles.
Keep it down, jackass.
Yeah, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, all right, let me go over here. So I go over there, and I said, listen, man, you got to stop you scaring people. Whoa, whoa. He starts making these noises. And I'm like, okay. I said, I get it. No, that's enough.
What did you get?
I get, I don't know.
I'm in on the scam, dude.
That's it. I'm listening. I'm not done listening to nonsense. Just, it's enough with this. Yeah. Right? So he like cocked his head over real weird, looking down at me, and he's going, I'm going to get you, man. And I said, okay. Listen, I'm trying to work with you. Knock it off.
That always works, the knock it off.
Yeah.
Just like your dad.
Yeah, just stop.
Knock
I'm
it
not
off.
afraid. I'm not, okay, you had your fun. Now shut the fuck up or get out. I don't want to hear any more from you. Oh, okay. And then he left. And I was like, okay, see, finally somebody just talked some sense into him.
No talking sense. He understood that you knew it was a game, and he stopped playing the game.
Right. So after that, if the manager wasn't around, then I would let him do his thing, because I don't care. It was amusing. I don't know why. It just was amusing to me. And if the manager was there, then I was like, oh, okay. Manager's here. It's time to fuck off. And then he would just leave. So one day I'm standing up there, and all of a sudden I start hearing, and all these ladies start coming out. And I'm like, what's going on? And then, of course, the next thing you see is a bum walking out of that back room. And what is he doing?
I have an idea.
Oh, no. Went back in the corner and crapped on the carpet.
When you have to go, you have to go.
And then used the book he was looking at to rip a page out and wipe his butt with it.
The book is just toilet paper with words on it.
Apparently. Because that's what it was used for. And I go around the corner, and I was like, oh,
You were Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was. Oh.
He needed the money.
So I come back around.
Next time on Shut Up, I'm Talking.
And I remember thinking, this is the most vulgar human being I've ever met.
Why was that?
Because everything was nasty. Everything was just cussing to cuss. And every time a girl in the party said something, he would look over like he was really concerned. And he would say, maybe you're not as fresh as you should be. And she would go, what? And then he would go, why don't you go clean the funk at your pussy?
It's practical advice.
It is. Now, I thought it was funny, but it was so vulgar. Just really over the top.
Have you ever given that advice to anybody in your own life?
No. Maybe to my ex-wife. I don't know. So this is what he's telling. He's not just saying it one time. He's telling every single woman in there.
The one-trick pony is what you're saying.
Exactly. Like, that's his big gag. And everyone should be laughing hysterically at someone saying, go clean the funk out your pussy.
Do you know if any of the women he advised, did they actually clean the funk out of their pussies?
I would hope so.
I mean, maybe he had something going. Maybe he knew.
Maybe he knew something I didn't. I don't know. He had a nose for stink.
I'm Larry King, and this is a Larry King Minute. Tonight, the story of Willa Cather, award-winning novelist and acclaimed poet. From her humble beginnings to the height of literary success, and a poem that changed the world. Every word of this is her true story, even the part about venereal disease. Born in Gore, Virginia in 1873, Willa Cather took to poetry at a very young age. She began work on what would become her best-known poem, Milk, Milk, Lemonade, almost immediately upon learning to talk. From a handwritten note dated December 23, 1876, and considered by historians to be the official first draft, a 3-year-old Willa wrote, Moo, moo, pee, poo. It took Willa Cather 13 drafts to perfect what would become her poetic masterpiece. 13 drafts over 8 painstaking years. Originally commissioned to raise money for the foundation of the Statue of Liberty, Willa Cather read her acclaimed poem at the statue's dedication in 1886.
Milk, milk, lemonade. Around the corner, fudge is made.
Later in her career, she turned the poem into a nightclub act, involving song, dance, a donkey, and ping-pong balls. An early phonographic recording of Cather's nightclub show, Showers of Gold, survives in the archives of the Library of Congress.
This may be coming from the front hole, boys, but it ain't no lemonade.
Cather's poem would later be adapted by the New York State Department of Health to promote awareness of venereal disease.
So remember, milk, milk, lemonade, around the corner, fudge is made. If there's bleeding, discharge or pus, to the doctor, go you must.
Later known for her Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, One of Ours, Willa Cather published 3 collections of poetry: April Twilights, Fought, Fought, Shot, and 2 in the Pink, 1 in the Stink. In her later years, Willa moved to New York City, where she continued to write highly successful novels and compulsively engage in high-risk sex with male prostitutes. Willa Cather died on April 24, 1947, after a lengthy battle with gonorrhea. Her last words were, "Stinky Pinky." On a personal note, I saw her nightclub act as a young man. Her act really lived up to its name, and that donkey certainly earned his keep. This has been a Larry King Minute.